What, asks Motherliness, is the worst regret you have had since being in Keane?
Oh, there's so many. Well, let me think. There are two that spring to mind. Firstly, this is quite a silly one actually, I don't regret it that much, but it always plays on my mind a bit, which was when we first met the guys from the Flaming Lips. They said, oh, you know, why don't you come up on stage and wear furry animal costumes and stuff, and for some reason, I think it was in the sort of, on one of our tours just before we sort of imploded back in 2006, and we were just I was in such a bad mood. I didn't want to dress up as a huge squirrel, so although probably would have been quite good. But anyway, so I always regret doing that. And the one that really I think I'm never gonna quite get over is that the BBC were making this album when I think we were making Perfect Symmetry. It was around that time, and they were kind of reenacting the making of Sgt. Pepper, and they got all these bands in, and I don't think it was that good in the end, but they'd asked U2 to do a day in the life, and U2 wanted to do it with us. We were going to collaborate on a day in the life, but the only way we could make it happen was to, basically we were just about to fly off to Argentina, I think, or something like that, and we just couldn't quite get in the same place at the same time, and we were sort of talking about flying back from South America to do it, or so, you know, all this sort of stuff. We just couldn't make it work, but that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
So I always felt a bit sad about that.
I can imagine. Yeah. Wow. Oh well. Maybe another time.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be loads of opportunities.
Exactly. Joanne would like to know if you've given the studio in which we sit a name yet. She says that Richard refers to it as Tim's studio, but obviously you've had the barn before. Does it have a name of any sort?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, you don't have to put it in the sleeve notes for your album. What are you
We
going to
were,
say?
well, in Man Desolation we just put Tim's house, because that was like, I couldn't think of anything. But the problem is that I started jokingly referring to it as the shit factory, and unfortunately everyone calls it that now. So I'm desperately trying to think of something better, but I can't. I wanted to think of something that's sort of local and has some kind of resonance, but it's just so difficult to not come up with something really cheesy. Like, you know, you sort of end up, you can go like the Supernova Heights Road and sort of call it after one of our hits or something, but I think that would just be dire. But anyway, yeah, I'm working on it.
Halvaz asks, have you ever looked at an old picture of yourself and thought, what the bleep was I thinking?
Oh yes, absolutely. Where to begin? We have one of the things we do when we're on tour is we'll sort of I think all of us keep an eye on the thing you do where you kind of post all the fans' photos from various gigs and stuff, and just try to, you know, keep an eye on what's going on generally on the website. But if anyone comes across a photo where one of us looks really terrible, we're guaranteed to send it around and have a good laugh at each other. But there are some, because, you know, obviously if someone's a photographer for a magazine or something, they sort of shoot off 10,000 photos and they'll choose the one where everyone looks great, hopefully. But with the fans, you know, they're sort of going on the website or whatever, and there's no need to sort of edit them down, so you just get, there's lots of amazing photos, but you also get, there was one of me from, I think it was from the festival we did in Switzerland last summer, or no, a year before must have been, and I just looks so awful. but there are always, I think all of us have been captured in terrible modes. But the one that was an official photo was the front cover of an American thing, which I think is called Keyboard magazine, and it was a sort of composite of each of us. It's like me sort of trying to play the piano whilst also standing up and looking at the camera, and looking just sort of awkward. And then there's Tom's doing this thing where he's kind of holding the mic and pretending to sing, and he's sort of doing this weird thing with his arm. It's like sort of action shot, and we still regularly sort of make fun of him, poor fella. But he sort of, yeah, Jesse will quite regularly just sort of, he'll be walking into the room and Jesse will be standing there going like this, doing a horrible impression of times. It's terrible. It's a very cruel environment. It's bad.
Gina83 asks, if you had tons of free time, tons in capital letters, what would you do? How would you use if you had an absolute load of free time?
Well, I'd like to learn to be a joiner, and I'd also like to do more travelling, particularly in America. I love driving around America, but I've done a couple of road trips which are kind of 3 weeks long each, and you can cover quite a lot of distance in that time. But I would literally, if I had like a year, I would probably just go to America and drive around for a year and try and, you know, go to as many places as I could, especially, you know, small towns and obviously all the kind of the great music places, and yeah, that's what I would do.
CP George asks, what set of circumstances and or mind frame is most conducive to creative endeavour?
Well, depends who you are. I think confidence is very important, which, you know, I sort of, it definitely comes and goes with me. Some people sort of have a lot of it, or create it through the means of drugs.
But that doesn't tend to lead to good stuff, does it?
Well, not very often.
Overconfidence is
not very often. Yeah. Yeah, getting the balance of confidence and also, you know, self-awareness is probably quite a hard one to strike. But yeah, I think a sense of confidence and a willingness to be brave definitely leads to really good things. But yeah, as for a particular mindset, I don't know. I think yeah, that's a really tough one. I think I actually write better songs when I'm happy, basically, because you can imagine that people like me who tend to write quite sort of emotional songs might sort of find that all the good stuff comes when you're really sad and sort of feeling all, you know, mooning around, feeling sorry for yourself or whatever. But I don't really, you know, I take so much pleasure in writing songs that I feel that really, you know, really touch something, you know, in myself, and then feel that that's going to reach out to other people. That I, you know, somehow I think when I'm the pain and the pleasure go hand in hand.